And joining us now as we discuss what is happening in the fertilizer market, we have with us Vice President of Fertilizer at StoneX, Josh Linville, here today. Josh, good to catch up with you, buddy. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. It's Friday. It's not much to complain about.
There is not a whole lot to complain about on a Friday, that is for sure. Josh, catch me up on what's going on with the fertilizer market. I think top of mind first, the river situation, the
Mhm.
low water levels on the Mississippi. I know that is a huge issue for all of agriculture. How is it impacting the fertilizer market right now?
Yeah, that's probably one of those unforeseen situations that we probably should have seen coming. I mean, last 2 years taught us anything, it's expect those sorts of things. So obviously, we've got fall application season right around the corner. A lot of fertilizer still trying to make its way up the river, but with these low water level choke points happening, you can't move barges. Number one, the barge weights are lower, meaning less tons per barge. Barge tows are smaller, meaning each boat can only take so many less barges, less tons are moving per circle. So that is starting to hamper logistics. You know, the Coast Guard, the river systems, the boat captains, all those guys are doing a heck of a job, but you can't fight Mother Nature. They're trying to keep things rolling. But what that means is effectively the upriver, the inland prices are going to go higher. Basically, your inland to NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana basis is going to get a lot wider because you just can't move that product like you're supposed to. So that's kind of what we're fearing. And the fact that we're going right into fall application season, you could be seeing some of these reports coming out and saying, oh, look at that. New Orleans price is going down. Well, unless you got a dock where you can go stick a barge and get about 60 to 70 trucks down there and unload it within 24, 48 hours, that doesn't mean anything. Your inland price could easily go up as that one's going down. It's messing things up. And hey, we're used to it by now.
Yeah, well, I wonder, Josh, are we looking to maybe try and bring in fertilizer through different avenues with the river issues? Is that a possibility? Are we looking north to Canada for some things, maybe, or what are your thoughts there?
You know, those are things we always do, and there's a little bit more that can be done. You can bring some more through the coast. You can bring a little bit more from up north. You can probably bring a little bit more through ports through like Texas and things like that. But unfortunately, those avenues are not one that can make up the difference of the river system. Unfortunately, the river system is the arteries of our logistical system, and without it, yeah, you can move little pieces here and there, but it's little pieces.
Well, Josh, I wonder as well, what about some of those guys who've already booked in, paid for fertilizer for fall application? Are they worried that they're not going to get what they paid for, possibly?
I don't think so. We feel like the inland market is fairly well full. I mean, when you look at it, phosphate, potash, yeah, there's some worry that maybe those that are just showing up the last minute for fall needs might struggle a little bit. But the system was full. The system was ready. And even from an anhydrous direct application standpoint, a lot of that does not move by river. So we don't need to worry
Mhm.
about that. That's more truck. That's more, not really rail. I was about to say that. That would have been wrong. There's a little bit that goes via barge, but it's not much.
Now, you did bring up rail, though. I know we have the potential of a rail strike back on the table. What are your thoughts with that situation and how that could impact the fertilizer market if it does, in fact, happen?
Yep, I would say that is an event I do not believe is going to happen. I think that the unions are trying to flex their muscle at the height of demand and try and get everything they possibly can from the railroads. I think the railroads are fighting back, knowing that every little piece they give up equates into a lot of money over the course of all the workers throughout the railroad system. So I think ultimately both those two parties will come together and won't happen. But if that does happen, it is devastating. If you all of a sudden have a situation where the river system stays down and you have a rail system that goes down, I can't even. I've had people say, "Well, what happens to prices inland? What's that difference turn into?" I have no idea. That's all of a sudden one where you can sit there and say, "Well, what does it take for a truck to drive all the way down to New Orleans and drive all the way back up to Northwest Missouri?" But that's only part of the puzzle. That's every single truck in the system who is already very few compared to where it used to be, is getting hammered with requests all over the country. Now all of a sudden they start doubling and tripling their rates. There's just no way to theorize what that means. The only thing I can tell you is if that does happen, that spread gets that much wider. You can see NOLA drop significantly, and it won't make a big difference.
On the pricing side, Josh, have we seen any big moves, any big drops, or any big hikes in price here in the last couple of weeks on anything?
Not especially. All of your more prompt pricing on the fertilizer side has been relatively stable. Urea continues to see some fluctuation, but it's been a little soft lately. But for the most part, it's been level. Phosphate potash prices here recently, they've been sliding since coming out of late March, April. But again, here recently, it's been more of a sideways slide. But we are seeing indications on the forward markets, the January, the February, March, like phosphate. We have seen those prices drop. So the price indications are that, hey, this thing is going to drop going into winter. But the problem with that, that's winter. You can't go into the retailer, the co-op, your supplier, and say, hey, I heard my January price is dropping. I want that price today. That's not the case because prompt barges are still trading where they have been for a while.
And Josh, how about globally? Any updates to any fertilizer production or energy concerns you're seeing on the global front right now?
Nitrogen, we're still watching Europe really, really closely. Natural gas, of course, being a major input for nitrogen production, and European natural gas being so high priced, that thing has been sliding very, very hard until yesterday after their close of business. Their natural gas price had peaked at $100, had actually gotten back down to close to 30. However, I believe the UK Prime Minister stepped down, some situation going on like that, and I can't really put the pieces of the puzzle together and understand why that stepping down means the natural gas price jumped up $4, but it did.
Yeah, a lot of interesting dynamics going on in global markets here at home. Josh, before we run out of time, any other final thoughts? Anything else you want to reiterate for producers who are looking and paying close attention to the fertilizer market right now?
Keep talking to your supplier. This again, I've been saying this a lot this summer. This is not a time of year where we can just sit there and expect that, hey, I'm going to get done with harvest. I'm going to walk in the door November 1st, and they're going to have everything I possibly need. There's a lot of risks. There's a lot of logistical concerns. If you're going to put on the fall, and there's a case to be made about waiting until spring, but if you're going to put on this fall, you need to be having that conversation with your retailer. And I understand there's a little bit of like, well, they're trying to, stick it to me, do this and do that. I'm telling you right now, they're the same way. They're just trying to survive this cycle. So be talking to them. And again, if you see an opportunity, if you can buy that input, if you can sell that grain, that is something we need to do. We're talking about a tremendous amount of volatility out here on the price, a tremendous amount of risk. If we can lock in a profit, that's a fantastic move.
Well, we appreciate the insight as always. Look forward to catching up with you again real soon with that Vice President of Fertilizer with StoneX, Josh Linville. Thanks for the time, sir, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Have a good weekend.